What's up, everybody? This is Jeff Moore, currently serving as the CEO of ICE. And before we jump into today's episode, let me take a moment to introduce Jane, the clinic management software and EMR that so many of us in the ICE community use and practice. Change is a normal part of clinic life. Maybe you're expanding your team, introducing new offerings, or growing your client list. As your clinic evolves, it's important to have an EMR that not only supports those changes, but also grows with you. Jane's new Balance, Practice, and Thrive pricing plans offer flexibility, allowing you to easily switch from one plan to another depending on your current and future needs. There's no long-term commitment either, just simple month-to-month payments that let you focus on running your clinic. And with every plan, you get features like one-on-one telehealth, email appointment reminders, and unlimited support. Visit jane.app/pricing to find a plan that fits your needs starting at $39 a month here in the US. And when you're ready to get started, use the code ICEPT1MO to sign up for a 1-month grace period on your new account. Thank you so much and enjoy the show. What is the worst workout you've ever done? What made you suffer the most?
So I like the workout now.
Interesting.
But I think back to like my first 6 months of CrossFit training, like really going in on it.
Yeah.
Was at an affiliate training with a good group of athletes.
Okay.
Glenn shows up.
Glenn.
The Hero Wide Glenn.
Okay.
Okay. Which has got some clean and jerks in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some running in it. It's got some rope climbs in it. And it finishes off with a bunch of burpees. It's like a 100 burpee finisher. So at this stage, I'm still figuring out what kind of athlete I am.
Sure.
I know myself pretty good now.
Yeah.
When a plus 20 minuter shows up on the whiteboard, I know that my finish is going to be pretty average.
Yeah.
At this stage of my journey, I still think I'm the guy. It's my first time taking on Glenn.
Out hot we go?
30 clean and jerks to start.
Sure.
Of course you come out hot. 135, I can handle this.
Yep.
You bang out that first long run. You come in, you got to smoke, I think, 10 rope climbs. If you're watching this, check this for me because I might get these numbers wrong. But get through the rope climbs. You hit another long run. I think it's another mile. And I'm hurting because now we're past that time domain, right?
Yep.
Feel I'm becoming not so impressive aerobic athlete. Right?
We're hitting the threshold.
We're hitting the threshold. And I came in the door, and the only thing left is 100 burpees, and you're done. And I can distinctly remember being at like 35 and looking around like, is it okay to quit?
Yeah.
Would anyone judge me?
Yeah. And yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The answer is yes. And I got that feeling. I was just like, I'm going to grind this out for a while, just one at a time, just being in a really bad pain cave. And maybe I say it was my worst workout, the most painful, because it was the first time I was really in a dark spot.
Yeah. Sad. I mean, 100 burpees to finish.
Every experienced CrossFitter's been in that hole before.
Yep.
And they know how to work their way out of it. This
Yep.
is my first experience in that hole.
Not as familiar.
Dude, not as familiar at all. And you learn a little something about yourself.
You sure as hell do.
Everything in my DNA wants to quit this workout right now.
I love it.
But it's just burpees.
Folks at home, try Glenn. What the hell? Tag us. Let us know how it went. Shoot us a hyperlapse. We'd love to see it. Mitch, let's talk about confidence, man. But before we dive into like the meat of the episode, I want you to talk about what you do day to day as far as coaching. Because everyone knows you as a physical therapist, as a faculty member at ICE, but there's a whole other side to your world. So maybe unpack that a bit, speak to it, and then we'll break some of this stuff down.
For sure. Yeah, I look at my day-to-day as owning and operating CrossFit Fenton.
Okay.
If you were to ask me what I do, I'm a coach.
Okay.
I'm a coach first. Now, I'm co-owner of Health HQ, the clinic that Alan and I co-operate, which is right next door to the gym. Yep. And so am I treating patients? Yeah, I see a handful of patients a week.
Yep.
But if you ask me what I do, I own and operate CrossFit Fenton, which means that I'm still actively involved in coaching classes. I coach anywhere from 10 to 15 classes per week, really given on the week. Still opening the doors twice a week at 5 a.m., getting the lights on, so very much so boots on the ground, like hands dirty in the CrossFit affiliate space.
Yep.
And so in there, you're getting to impact classes of 10 to 20 members multiple times per day, 5 days per week. So how many touch points you're seeing with people in, Mitch, you're a PT. Why are you spending all your time coaching? I look at size of impact For me, the number of people that I can touch over a week, what kind of positive impact can I have on them from a CrossFit workout?
Yeah.
When they come in the door, whether that's first thing in the morning and they're feeling rough, or if it's after a work day and they're feeling rough, right? Can I have some sort of positive impact on their day to turn their day around? Can I deliver a great hour?
Yeah.
The CrossFit motto is always the best hour of their day. Can I really deliver that for them times 20 rather than just on times 1? And I'm not downplaying the effect you have,
Sure.
arguably more significant at times when someone's really in a bad spot, musculoskeletally, but times 20 that are coming in that you can turn their day around, have a great workout, send them out the door.
Yeah.
Excited about tomorrow. Like that's what I'm excited to do. So that's what I do.
Dude, and what's beautiful, I think, is where those two roads meet, right? So like these aren't separate worlds. I mean, each bleed into each other in a really beautiful way. From the perspective of if you're coaching these classes a day, multiple days a week, you're seeing an awful lot of people tweak stuff. You're seeing an awful lot of things pop up that you're then working around with them. And I've got to think when you then go to your patient who's terrified because they've hurt something, I've got to think that your experience of, I see this literally all the time. I'm not just saying this, like this kind of stuff bumps up. Your belief that this person who's coming to you clinically can get better has got to be at a level above anybody who hasn't coached group fitness for any period of time. Do you feel that impact?
Yeah, repetition.
Yeah.
It's one thing for a PT to watch a patient squat.
Totally.
I watch hundreds of patients squat weekly.
Yep.
It's exponential, the number of repetitions you have. And again, same thing with being on the front line with acute flare-ups.
Yeah.
I pop my back. Someone else might be like, oh, you just herniated a disc.
Yep.
This is a 6 to 12 month long. It's like, no, you just tweaked your back in a heavy set of deads. Like, you're fine. Let's get you to calm down. Let's get you laying on your back. Put your feet up. Here's some prone press ups you can get started on tonight. It's going to be a rough night of sleep. I've been there before. Like, let's not downplay it. But come in tomorrow. Here's what we're going to do. We got a plan for you because I've been there and because I've seen other athletes that have been there too. Like, these musculoskeletal stuff is part of the journey, right?
Yeah.
Something I like to talk about a lot is like, no one gets out of this life unscathed. And that's really not the goal either. Imagine someone who ran a perfect race that never got injured. They probably had a relatively unexciting life.
For sure.
I don't
No stories.
I don't want to be there.
No stories.
Live my whole life in a bubble.
For sure.
So if you're out there engaging in anything that's worth engaging in, you're going to have some bumps along the way. Now, the repetition of seeing those things flare up can help bring someone's immediate threat response down a whole nother level.
Totally.
Hey, you're going to be okay. This is what we're going to look for. Come in tomorrow. This is where we're going to get started. As opposed to a PT who may be seeing that back pop for the first time, the coach who's not, relatively green, threat response is heightened.
Yep.
The athlete can sense that from you. When the coach steps in and they haven't seen this before and they're tripping out,
for sure,
they can feel that. Man, maybe I need to go to urgent care. Maybe I need to go. When the coach that steps in that's seen this thing before, that's like, this is what you're going to do tonight. This is what you're going to do tomorrow. Bring those hackles down a whole bunch and set them on a course for managing that acute flare up a lot better.
I mean, dude, you got to think over the past, how many years have you been coaching?
Almost a decade now. I think
Almost
we're on year 9.
decade.
Yeah.
How many people
coaching CrossFit?
Yeah. How many people you've seen come halfway up into a dead and drop that thing?
I know what that looks like.
How many of those you've seen 2 weeks later RXing a WOD?
Yeah. Yeah. I can't put a number. Hundreds. Right. It happened to my buddy less than a month ago.
Yeah.
And he's back to deadlifting all the number. So again, they look to me to be like, dude, how bad is this? And like, let's get you on the treadmill. Let's get walking. Let's get you on the bike. Let's get pedaling. Let's survey the land a little bit. You're going to be all right. This is what we're going to do for the next couple of weeks to make sure that you don't add insult to injury.
Sure.
Let's not throw gasoline on the fire right now. But this is going to be fine. Let's going to cool it off. Let's get you in the clinic for a session or two. Let's get you back.
In those circumstances, how long do you expect? So, I mean, you come up on that person, they have that classic response of like, oh, dude, something in my back. They drop the bar. There's not a lot of neurological stuff. We're not talking drop foot here. We're just talking about a lot of back spasm. But that person's, they're bona fide scared. I coach enough. I've seen people call me over and every muscle in their body is tense because they're just like, oh, you can feel the narratives running through their head. This happened to my brother-in-law, and now he's on disability. The society has done us no favors.
Shouldn't do CrossFit because this would happen.
This is exactly what would happen. Here I am on the floor. What do you tell? And I know every person's different, but When you walk over there and you're sitting there afterwards with them on the bench and they're so scared, are you saying how long until they can expect in most cases to be back doing reasonably well?
Yeah, it's 1 to 2 weeks to be back doing reasonably well.
Yep.
Are you still going to feel it? Probably.
Yep.
Are there still going to be things that bother it more than others? Probably.
Yeah.
But you're fitnessing pretty well within a week to 2 weeks.
And you're seeing this at some level of volume. That's pretty consistent.
All the time. In those first 48 hours, or every PT knows, right? You're going to go on a journey the next 24 to 48 hours.
Sure.
And I think if you preface that a little bit.
Yeah, the morning's going to be a little stiff.
Set the expectation. Set the expectation so that when I wake up, I don't think you told me I was going to be fine in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm letting you know that the next couple of days are going to be rough.
And what do you tell them to do during those 2 days? Because you're not going to see them probably, I wouldn't think, maybe in the clinic. But how do you guide that first couple days?
Yeah, so the classic advice is like stay moving the best you can. If that's just going for a walk,
be up and around.
You got a treadmill. Do you walk your cul-de-sac?
Yep.
Can you come to the gym and walk? Can you bike? Right, just stay moving. We know that blood pump is so huge important.
Totally.
Right? And just move your body. I'm not talking about don't try to deadlift tomorrow. Don't try to do squats tomorrow. Let's just move. Right. So that's a big one in it. And then obviously you get an idea of directional preference. If we're talking a back issue, right?
Sure.
Does it feel better to lay on your stomach, or are we talking about getting into some flexion? What directional preference? And then you can give us some spot on scene advice like that. And then it's how fast can we get you in the clinic to really get a good handle on what's going on and really to put the majority of the flames out. So stay moving, get back in the gym. We've got stuff that we can do for you here.
Yep.
There's no reason to be absent from the gym, and we can show you little things along the way. Let's get you in that banded traction thing for your leg. Does that feel better? Yeah, hang out there for 4 minutes. Let's get you over on the bike for 20 minutes. Let's hang from the rig. What about the reverse hyper? And we can just start to sprinkle in things that are just stuff that have helped so many athletes that don't need to be behind this paywall of a PT session yet. They can just be like, does this feel better? Start with this today.
Yeah. Dude, going back to your comment about like, hey, everybody said this was going to happen to me in CrossFit. What's your narrative? That's popular out there. I mean, people believe that the injury risk is a lot higher than the data seems to show, but that's their belief and they're allowed to have it. When you're on-ramping people and they're asking about injury risk and, what do you say to folks who are new to the sport and they're about to become part of your community? How do you paint the level of risk and how do you preface some of that stuff?
I like to use the pool analogy a lot.
Unpack that for me.
Yeah, so we go to the community pool. You don't know how to swim. Are you going to jump to the deep end of the pool right away?
Okay.
Okay, so you're gonna start at the shallow end of the pool, and depending on your skill set, you might hang real tight to a lifeguard or a swim coach real early in that phase.
Yeah.
So you got to know thyself a little bit. And if you're coming into the training environment with a pretty high training age, can we go to the deep end of the pool? Yeah, we could probably start skipping a few steps and getting right into some more aggressive barbell movements or gymnastics movements. But if you're relatively green to this space, right, let's hang tight. Let's start at the kiddie end of the pool, right? Let's teach you some of the basics.
Yep.
And that just means utilizing training barbells, utilizing scaled down regressions of gymnastics movements, introducing things like ring rows before we talk about the pull-up, just to build some base levels of strength and competency of movement. So you got to get a brief history. You got to know where someone's coming from. If I walk in the door with my training age and you start me on the same thing you were going to start everyone, because that's just what your on-ramping does.
Exactly, yeah.
You're going to lose me. I'm not coming back. And so you got to be able to meet somebody where they're at in their first couple of days. Understanding their training age is important. What the data would also say, too, is that understanding previous injury rates is huge for avoiding future injuries.
Yep.
And when we look at novice athletes, they typically don't get injured as often as experienced CrossFit athletes, with the exception of one study that looked at that rate being like 3 times higher than what we were previously seeing. And when they did their analysis on this, they're saying, hey, but when we link these injury rates to previous non-CrossFit related contact injuries, we can reduce that rate dramatically, which just tells us we're not doing a good job of fully rehabbing that thing to begin with, or communicating to the coach that I've got a shoulder issue on board that I probably need to make you aware of. I tell a lot of PTs this. Coaches know how to scale around a bad shoulder. They know that really well. They've done that hundreds of times. They know how to go easy on a back that's a little trigger happy. They've done that a million times. But if you don't communicate that, if you come in lips sealed, just taking whatever's thrown at you, you're more likely to walk into some flames again. So a brief history, understanding your training age, and understanding what kind of injuries you may have on board prior to starting this journey.
Yeah.
Really, really big for mitigating a lot of that.
So people have pretty strong views around like the on-ramp. Like some people are super against it. Like it's not, if you do the class well, you don't need it. Other people are, it almost seems excessive. Like you got to let that person get out there and swim a little bit. CrossFit Fenton's been so successful. The community's thriving. It just always seems to be growing. You all are doing so many great things. What are you actually, where do you stand? When these people come in, how is your community built?
So my stance, and I do think there's some merit to on-ramps.
Okay.
I think that there's a lot of barriers to them as well. One of the common questions you often get is, who pays for it? Are these private? Yeah. Are these semi-private? Do I structure them? They're always at 6 p.m. at night, 2 days a week. They're always done with Coach Mike. They work around Coach Mike's schedule and not Susan's schedule. There's a lot of barriers into funneling a new person into an on-ramp in order to help teach some fundamental movements.
Yeah.
And how much are we actually going to accomplish with these on-ramps? What do we teach hip crease below knee. We show them a wall ball. We show them a sit to stand. This is what a barbell looks like.
Yep.
So you're adding a ton of additional barriers into something that's already pretty hard to get someone to make that first step.
For sure.
With. Pick up the phone, call the gym. I think I'm ready to start.
I'm going to go for it.
We want you tomorrow.
Yep.
Because if you're ready to make change, we want to make that change as soon as possible. So I don't want you to be like, well, Sarah, the next on-ramp we're hosting is 3 weeks from Tuesday.
Yeah, hang on to that motivation. We'll see you in June here.
And it's going to cost $350, and you're going to work out by yourself. It's not going to be very fun at all.
Yep.
You don't get the community aspect of it. For those reasons, we integrate them into class.
Okay.
With that being said, class has to be built in a way that a new person can get integrated into it.
Unpack that a little bit.
If we walk into CrossFit class tomorrow, and on the whiteboard is the deadlift. Hey, let's take a workout we just did. We just dropped into a gym.
Yep.
We just did a workout before this podcast. Part A of the workout is build to a heavy 3-rep deadlift. The coach looks around the room, and 98% of the people have deadlifted before. The easy cop-out, and a lot of gyms do this, is just, hey, this one's pretty self-explanatory. Just build to a 3-rep.
Build her up.
Build her up. Sweet. Got it.
Yep.
CrossFit Fenton's going to make every athlete get a barbell. Bring the barbell to the floor. Let's go through the deadlift progression. Show me your setup position. Back is flat, chest is up. Your shoulders should be above the height of your hips. Hips should be above the height of your knee. Keep the bar really close to you. Make sure someone can't tickle your armpits right now. Let's drill the setup. Let's drill the execution. The deadlift should be a push, not a pull. I know that 15 out of 20 athletes in the gym have heard all this before. Look at this as an empty barbell warm-up. Mm-hmm. You just look at this as an extra repetition, an extra touch on the bar.
Get a little cleaner. Yep.
Let's just get warm. Let's just get loose. If you need to tune me out because you've heard this before, that's fine. You're going through the motions and you're getting warm. But that new person is learning all of this for the first time. They don't feel like they're slowing class down. They don't feel like they're being singled out. Hey, I got to run over to Sarah and help her with the empty bar. Everyone else has got weights on their bar already.
Yeah.
We're just doing empty bar work together. Every movement we do is broken down that way. I don't care if it's your first class or your 1,000th class. We're doing the empty bar warm-up.
Yep.
We're going to go through the progression again. I'm going to sprinkle in some cues, and you're going to get 20 to 25 empty bar touches before we do anything else. And then I can say, all right, it's time to go get weight. Those of you that feel really comfortable, here's what I want you to build up to. You're going to have 15 minutes. I'll turn the clock on.
Yep.
And I can now peel off. I go visit Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah, how'd you feel with that? This bar's feeling a little heavy for me. Awesome. Let's swap it in. Let's get that training barbell. It only weighs 15 pounds compared to 35 pounds. Let's start with 10s today. Let's work your technique, your mechanics.
Yep.
The energy of the room picks up. I bring the volume up a couple clicks.
Yeah.
The experienced members know what to do at this point.
Totally.
And it doesn't feel like I'm slowing class down to go revisit with Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah still feels like she got the real experience that the CrossFit class was without feeling like she was cumbersome to the overall class.
Yeah. When you've actually got these folks going in a bigger class, you got a WOD going, there's lots of activity. I always wonder as a coach, I've coached, but it's usually smaller classes. When you've got those bigger numbers, what are you looking for? Because you want to inspire confidence. You want people to try things they haven't done. You want to push them, but you also do want to stay in that speed wobble and not beyond. When you're scanning the room, man, like what are you looking for to try? You got 20 people. Your class is sometimes, I'm assuming 15, 20 people.
5:30 a.m. is 24 people.
You got 24 people out there.
Every day.
Some of them you got to nudge the throttle up because they've got more in the tank. Yep. Some, you've got to give them confidence to try. Others are too confident. Dude, I don't know what kind of insight you can give to all of that happening at once, but as a coach standing there trying to give everybody the best fitness stimulus, dude, how do you triage? How do you work that room?
Triage is the right word for it. And I don't know what it would be like to be on the front lines in a medical situation where you've got people flooding it with But I got to imagine it's similar. Right? Like you're going to be fine. For the next 5 minutes, you're going to be fine. I need to go over here.
Yeah.
What I wanted to point out, though, if you're a coach, someone listening to this podcast, there are multiple opportunities, though, to help set someone's sights on the expectation you have for them for the day. For example, we start the class at the whiteboard. Everyone comes in, we brief the workout first. Hey, everyone, glad you're here. Yep. We're going to open up class with build into a heavy set of 3 on the deadlifts. And I might look at you, Jeff, at the whiteboard because I know you've been here a while. Yeah. And I've got a little PR. I got a little, rep with you. I can kind of push your buttons a little bit.
Yeah.
And I can say at the whiteboard, Jeff, I'm expecting you to try to get over 300 today. Yeah. Just so we're on the same page of what the stimulus is I want for you. And I can break off a few people at the whiteboard.
Give them that target.
Okay, so as they go, they're chewing on that.
Yeah.
And then I can circle back around and touch the other people. Hey, what are you thinking you're going to get up to today? Well, my max is only 225. I'm not really sure. I want you to set your sights on 185. Let's get up to that, see how it feels. I'll circle back around to you.
Yeah.
Now I peel off and I go back to that new person. Hey, your back's pretty rounded. You look like a dog taking a poop in the woods right now. They laugh a little bit. We joke about it. I mimic that position in front of them. Let's keep your chest up. I really don't care about what weight you get to today, Sarah. I just want every deadlift you do to feel good.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to keep coming back and circling back to you. If you want to put more weights on, I got the 5s, I got the 10s right here, I got the 15s over here. But I really don't care. Mm-hmm. You pick the weight. I want it to feel good today. Sarah's was freaked out about a heavy deadlift today.
Sure.
She's her first month. She doesn't know a lot about deadlifting. And I just brought the overall threat response of the workout down a bunch because it's just about having fun and feeling good for Sarah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Jeff knows that coach is watching me. He wants me to get up to 315
he told
plus.
me.
And I'm going to swing back around and make sure that we're at that level. And so
look at those plates a little bit.
You're finding opportunities to tell people your expectation and the stimulus for them as you're just working the room and making your rounds.
I love that. We talked a little bit about like when some of these folks bump into an issue and it's going to be inevitable. Yeah. You're in such a unique position because you all own a clinic literally. When I say next door, I literally mean there's a door that walks into the clinic. Yeah. When do you use it? Like, I'm so curious as someone who says primarily I coach, you're very comfortable in the clinic and you've got a staff over there. You don't want to over medicalize. You're confident they'll get better. How do you draw the line when you go over and something's not right or the back thing? When do you say, dude, you need to get over there and get some formalized care? And when do you say, dude, couple weeks, or you keep it moving, get on the bike tomorrow? How do you draw that line?
You certainly don't want to come across as, and that's not the intent of us having the clinic. To be clear, the intent of putting the clinic next to the gym is to keep people in the gym as much as possible. Totally. And our members love to joke with us. They're always like, oh, what a
real
great
convenient
business. Yeah. Awesome. You're going to get us hurt over here.
Yeah.
It's simply not the goal. So you never want to come across as like book a session.
Totally.
And people are always asking for advice, and PTs will always ask me, how do you wear both caps, right? When do you give advice and when do you tell them they probably need to? Look, if we're all being honest, there's a ton of low-hanging fruit that you can hand somebody that has a pretty low level of going to injure them anymore, but has a high rate of might significantly help them out.
Yeah.
Give that stuff away.
Yeah.
Dude, try this banded shoulder stretch. Put this lacrosse ball here. Do this traction thing. It takes me 2 seconds to show you how to set it up and do it.
Yep.
Tell me if it feels better, yes or no, and rock that for the next week. Let me know if 7 to 10 days from now you're not feeling any better. Dude, don't let this go much longer than that. Don't have this issue still be an issue 6 months from now.
Yeah.
So if you feel like you've taken a crack at it for 2 weeks and you're still not making any headway, then maybe it's time to give us a call.
Yep.
But maybe you don't need a session with this shoulder right away. This thing's looking okay. Start with these 2 things that I can show you in 5 minutes after class and go rock them for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you still need help, we're here to help. But let's certainly not book a session and take your money until we've at least done some of the low-hanging fruit first.
I love that. A lot of times this stuff gets better. Try this. It's increases the odds of that. And then if we're a week or 2 in and things aren't budging, get your butt in the clinic. Kind of a narrative.
Yeah. There's people that can help you. Why wouldn't you let them help?
Of course. Yeah.
Let's take a look at it.
Dude, speaking of people that can help you, and I want to go back to, because as a lifetime physical therapist, and I've watched you all in our fitness athlete division with ICE engage in the profession very broadly now, and we see so much. We see the opposite of what you just talked about. Like, we just talked about you going up there and I've seen a million guys pop their backs, like,
relax,
hey, relax. Here's, we got some ideas. Here's what we're going to do. If a couple of days go by, we'll have a look at you or whatever. That narrative is so critical to stemming off over medicalization. Because I mean, the opposite, the fear approach is what brings in the unnecessary MRI, is what brings in the sequela. Not everyone can go coach for, if you're listening to this and like, I'm kind of that person, I'm afraid of that stuff. Not everyone can go coach for 10 years and watch a million folks get hurt and get better and build confidence. When you are engaging with these clinicians in our fitness athlete course, whether it's the online or live, how do you encourage them to begin to build some of this confidence and maybe shortcut you can't replicate 10 years of experience, but how do you get them to have a little bit more of that? Maybe we don't need to panic, which is so beneficial for the patients.
The answer is the same every time.
Yeah.
And it not only helps your clinical skill set, but it helps your personal health and fitness and longevity and strength.
Yeah.
And it's join a gym. Because just being another athlete in the room, you're going to watch the person to your left and to your right, and you're going to see what they're doing. You're going to get more repetitions of how are they squatting, how are they deadlifting, what's their kipping mechanics look like. You're warming up, you're doing the workout too, but you're absorbing so much more. Mm-hmm. You may see someone tweak their back in class, be able to offer some assistance, but what you're building is basically an evidence bank of that things you've proven to yourself. Maybe you worked through little flare-ups, elbow pain, tendinopathy.
I got better. Yeah.
I got better. What things did I do? But you also build this bank of putting eyes on other people moving to build this arsenal of like, okay, I feel like I'm standing on solid ground here when I say this thing's going to get better in a couple of weeks, or this one looks pretty bad. We should probably have a look at it sooner than later, because you've been in the space. Mm-hmm. Too many PTs want the destination without
the journey.
They don't want to put the time in.
Yeah.
They want to coach the squat as if they've been coaching the squat for thousands of repetitions without actually.
And as if they've squatted for thousands of repetitions.
And there is no shortcut to gaining those repetitions.
Yeah.
So I am not saying every PT needs to get their level 1 in coach. Matter of fact, you shouldn't, right? A lot of you are not qualified to do so.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I am saying that if this is a space you want to operate in, you need to start getting some calluses on your hands. You need to start paying some time with the barbell and watching other people move alongside of you and watching a coach help people and facilitate better movement and helping calm down things when they're flared up. Just being in that space will offer all of this experience that you're looking for, all the repetition that you're striving to get, you're going to get by just simply being in the gym.
So when they push back on you, and that's your narrative, like, dude, you just got to get in there and do the thing. You can't be helping people do the thing if it's foreign to you and you've never worked through it. And they come back with, it's risky. I mean, most physical therapists, at least, I think it's changing now. I think you all are helping change it now. But boy, when I started teaching in 2012, 2013, like, people were terrified of this stuff. And I know that, CrossFit was younger and stuff, but people were like, thought it was. How many times did I hear, like, I love it, it brings me so many patients. Like, everyone literally looked at it as an injury generator. When they push back and say, no, man, I can't be off work with a hurt back. Do you have a few studies you anchor on, or, where do you go? I know there's a lot to pull from. Yeah. What do you choose to try to convince this person?
Dude, when we're teaching Fitness Athlete Live course, we got a room full of PTs in there that kind of have this, I'm a cynic a little bit, right? I'm a little skeptical. Like, so we have a 4-year analysis of CrossFit trained participants. It's a pretty long study, looking at over 1,000 participants in CrossFit over a long haul, right? It's a pretty robust piece of evidence. There's a lot of them out there, but that's a pretty robust piece that's saying that the injury incidence is, quote, low and comparable to other forms of fitness training, including running, powerlifting, bodybuilding, triathlons. So I frame it in the lens of, your eval Monday morning, 9:00 is John. You ask John during eval intake, what do you like to do? Do you stay recreationally fit? John's like, yeah, I'm a member of the local powerhouse. And you're like, great. I love that you lift weights. How can I facilitate? How can I come alongside you to help you stay doing that?
Yep.
11:00, Sarah comes in. Sarah, what do you like to do? I'm using Sarah a lot today, but that's what
I love it.
Sarah says, I'm a runner. I've got a half marathon on the book for this fall. It's going to be my first one, so I'm ramping up my mileage. You are stoked. You're like, yes, let me come alongside you.
Hell
Let me
yeah.
see how I can help you. The CrossFitter comes in. Keep in mind, the evidence would tell us the rates are low and comparable to all those other forms of fitness. But you put your bias on them and say, those CrossFitters, you keep me in business.
Yeah.
Why do you do that? You're just going to get hurt doing that. We sum it up and we just say, look, opinions are cool, but data is cooler. You can have an opinion that CrossFit hurts people more.
Sure.
You're entitled to that opinion, but you're also entitled to be wrong with that opinion. Right? So let me show you the evidence. And in light of the evidence, would you like to change your stance now? And if the answer is still no, then like, what are we talking? Like, I can't have an argument with someone who's unwilling to change, given the current evidence that would just basically say you're willing to come alongside this person that has a risk injury profile. You're willing to come along this person that has a risk injury profile, but you're not willing to come along this. It doesn't make any sense.
Dude, what makes CrossFit unique? Like, I just watched our Rehab of the Injured Runner course 2 weekends ago. We've got our lead faculty up there saying blatantly 75% of runners are going to have an issue every year that knocks them off their training program. Nobody freaks out.
That's an eye.
What is it about barbell movements, or what is it about that sport that people dig in so aggressively?
I think it's the unknown.
Running's just so commonplace.
Talk to most PTs, and they've got a solution for most running issues.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right? They feel like they can
They
navigate.
feel confident.
They feel confident. I can solve that problem.
Yeah.
You bring a CrossFitter in, and they're not really sure what's going on.
With that butterfly pull-up.
I don't really know what a snatch is.
Yeah.
I got to go YouTube it. I don't
That's
really
it.
have a solution to all those problems. And so it's easier for me to just say, don't do CrossFit than it is for me to shore up that gap, because it feels like a sizable one. And it is. But what about your barbell movements? What about your gymnastics movements? What about your monostructural? You got to understand running. You got to understand inverted handstand positions, handstand walk. There's a lot to understand in that CrossFit space.
Yeah.
And if you're someone who's made your career on this notion that you're the movement expert, someone comes in with a movement profile that you don't have a solution to, you feel pretty exposed. And not enough people are willing to stand in that void and be honest with the patient and say, look, this is not my expertise.
Yep.
I've got some people that I can call, some resources I can dig into. I'm going to do some learning of my own and see if I can come alongside of you. It's easier for them to just pull back, talk trash about it, say you shouldn't do that. They just keep me in business and keep it moving, right? Mm-hmm. We're seeing that script change a lot.
Yeah, you are.
That was like the pre-2015.
My early years, yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
It was just like, I don't want to learn it. I'm the movement expert. I know running. I know all this other stuff, but I don't want to solve this problem. Now we're seeing more and more PTs come to the courses that are saying, I need to solve this problem. I need help me understand the kipping pull-up. What's going on here? What are these shapes? What kind of shoulder stability do we need to see someone with on the bar? And what does that look like if it goes wrong? And those are the people we love to work with. We tell them, like, thank you for being here, because you're identifying that you've got a gap in your game.
Yeah.
You're here to shore it up that weekend.
Yeah.
That's all we aim to do. Let's get a room full of PTs who have all dropped their guard, who have all collectively said by walking into the room that they've got something to learn here. So you don't feel exposed. You don't feel, your education doesn't feel challenged, right?
Yeah.
In the face of your patient. You can now come to the course and say, look, we're all here to learn and get better. We're going to make this as streamlined as we can make it and to solve the problems that you're looking to solve in the clinic.
Dude, I love it. It really makes me think, and this would be a controversial comment, I'm sure, but it's like, I wonder how many times some of these PTs would benefit from consulting with coaches. I know we tend to feel like it goes the other way around, but like, we opened up this conversation saying, if you've got a coach in your community who's done this for 10 years and seen thousands of people get that issue in the shoulder, the dead arm, the back, dude, how often would PTs benefit from consulting with coaches and saying, hey, so-and-so came in from a gym, maybe it's yours, maybe it's not. Yeah. But here's how they presented. What would you think? You've seen so many. I mean, I'm just throwing this out there, but it's a bit of a role reversal, but it's interesting.
There's a couple of truths that I know after teaching this course to PTs over the last 7-8 years. Is that, do the PTs have a ton to offer CrossFit coaches? You betcha.
Of course.
And we recommend doing that, right? They ask the question a lot of, how do I, now that I have this fitness athlete credential and I'm specialized,
how do I go?
Sure. And the answer that we always have is to try to get the coaches alone from their members. Because again, just in the same way the PT doesn't want to feel attacked in face of the patient, they would like to separate from the patient a little bit.
Yep.
Let's get in a room of just PTs and learn this stuff.
Totally.
The coaches are in the same boat. The coaches don't want to be educated demonstrated in front of their athletes.
Of course.
Get a coach's clinic together that you do after hours on a weekend where you can come in and say, here's the common things I see with the overhead press. Here's my favorite things to give for shoulder strength and stability, whatever. So that is our number one track to helping get PTs integrated into a gym and helping them with the coaches.
Yeah.
But here's the other truth that I know after teaching this course this many times. Every now and then we get a pretty distinguished coach that wants to take our course. They're just thirsty to learn. Can I sit in on the course? Yeah, you betcha. Yeah. Do we aim at the rehab professional? You betcha. But every now and then we're not going to turn a coach away that wants to be in the room. The coach comes in feeling like they're going to learn a lot that weekend. The coach walks away feeling like they taught a lot that weekend. And the PTs know this as well, because the minute I have them put hands on a barbell, the asymmetry is flipped immediately.
Yeah.
It's the PT isn't sure how to walk the barbell out of the rack, not sure where the barbell goes in the front rack position. And the coach immediately feels empowered to be able to step in and help, because that's just what they do. They're trained on helping people relax that grip, set the bar on the front rack, drive those elbows up. Doesn't that feel better?
Yeah.
And the PT's like, yes. And immediately this narrative of the PT has a lot to teach the coach is flipped when we're doing things that the coach knows really, really well, which is teaching the barbell movements. Every single time, Jeff, the coach ends up being my assistant for the weekend.
Yeah.
Into teaching the deadlift and in teaching the strict press mechanics and teaching the snatch.
Do you see PTs get bristly or in that? I love that.
No, they're super cool about it.
I love that.
And I think they realize that maybe there's a respect thing that they gained over the weekend.
Yeah.
Of saying, I didn't know that they knew this much. And I didn't know that they could be this helpful, but I really feel like my deadlift got better. Because every PT I asked, why are you here this weekend? Are you here to help your patients? And most of them are, but they're mostly here for selfish reasons. They want their deadlift to get better.
I love that.
So they're stoked at the PTs they're helping them, because selfishly their deadlift improved that weekend. So they're down with it.
Dude, and think how much that helps just the fitness community in these cities when those PTs go back and they were at your course and there was a coach in there that they realized, holy shit, those guys know a ton. Just the collegial level of respect now they've got for other coaches and how they're much more even playing field at best, maybe, but it's a different dynamic.
And they're just different skill sets. There's a different knowledge base.
Yeah.
In one of the issues that PTs and CrossFit has had getting along is that the PTs just feel like they deserve more respect than the CrossFit coach.
Yeah.
And in some domain they do.
Sure.
Differentially diagnosing and treating musculoskeletal pain. Yes. The PT or the rehab professional knows more. They demand the respect in that realm. But when it comes to getting individuals off the couch and getting them moving and teaching barbell movements and getting them engaged in fitness as fast as possible, the coach really wins there. They've got the knowledge bank there. In an environment like a course where they can co-mingle and share that, well, now it's collegial. You said, instead of this power struggle, we both know our individual domains that we do really well, and now we can have the communication.
Yeah.
The best success that we have is where we teach a course I was just in Santa Cruz. Let's use that for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where I have local clinicians to that area and I have local coaches to that area. They swap information over the weekend, right? And I use examples through the course of you're working with Sarah. You've rehabbed her shoulder pain. You've introduced barbell movements. Sarah's asked you where I can continue this after she's done with PT. You say CrossFit Santa Cruz is the spot you need to go to, right? And so you pass off the contact, and I can start to draw what the full loop would look like of the conversation and the collegial relationship there. And everyone in the room is nodding their heads yeah, that would benefit me. Yeah, that would benefit me as well. They swap information, and now I get on a plane and fly home. But my hope is that we've created a network there where people get better. Is that not why we're in this space?
That's it.
Is that not why coaches and PTs are doing what we do, is to try to help people get better? Well, recognize what you do really well and recognize who else is dominating their field, and how do we all get along here?
Dude, I love that. I did a podcast recently. We're talking about kind of let the coaches coach, let them do their brilliant, beautiful thing. And then you're there for differential diagnosis, right? Where it's not a form issue. It's not something where the virtuosity lies with the coach. It is hey, is this a nerve issue? Is this a stress fracture? That's where PTs do shine. Yep. And it's boy, if we can stop a little bit of, like you said, the head banging and and gosh, when they're working together, it solves the issue. But just getting in there, running coaches' clinics, being inside of the gym, appreciating both of each other's skill sets. Dude, the combination is the answer to avoiding the medical system.
Most definitely. And too many PTs are still trying to set up shop, come in with pamphlets and brochures and say, hey, when they get injured, send them to me.
Yeah.
Funny story is that I had a group of PTs, a new clinic in town, chain clinic. I won't say it. It's Athletico. But they moved to town, right? And they come in their khakis and polos. And they walk in my gym and they're like, can I speak to the owner? My coach walks them over to me. And I happen to be in the middle of a PT session with a client.
Yeah.
We're in the back of the CrossFit gym because that's where we do a lot of our Therax. We're deadlifting back there. So it doesn't really look like I'm doing PT, but I'm doing PT. They walk over. They try to hand me their stuff.
Sure.
And like, I'm just smiling. I'm letting them do their elevator pitch. Right. And I'm like, you guys don't know, but like, I own the clinic right here.
Yeah.
I'm doing PT right here.
Yeah.
You guys can keep your brochure. We're probably okay. But like the reason for telling that is that's just the narrative, right?
Totally.
Set up shop, pull up Google Maps. Where's the gyms in town? Go pass out your stuff.
Dude, versus where's the gyms in town rolling in?
How do I join?
How do I become a member of your community?
Pick up a punch card.
And how do we maximize the health of this community?
Exactly. You got to fight the bigger fight.
And the patients will come from that. I mean, your role is going to be needed, but man, what a different headspace to walk in. Is there any way I can serve the great thing you have going on here?
How do I prove myself a little bit?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There is a biker gang mentality.
Dude, for sure.
It's
everywhere.
Like
Runners cry. It doesn't matter.
Show me a little cred,
dude.
Right? How do you earn some street cred? Well, you show up, you sweat, you bleed a little bit, you
Yep.
high five after the workout,
Yep.
you grind through that hero wad with somebody,
Yeah.
you show up on Murph. I know your pull-ups aren't great. Do ring rows. Who gives a shit?
You're there.
Right? You're earning street cred,
Yeah.
right? And then the coach is like, dude, Sarah's got this thing going on with her shoulder and I can't solve it. Let me help. Right?
Yep.
Let me run a coach's clinic. Of course you're going to get buy-in from the coaches because you've been a member of the gym for 6 or 8 months.
Totally.
You have to take that step.
And then
first.
the PT side of that,
It becomes easy.
The PT side of that, I've calmed down your musculoskeletal injury. You're now asking me about stringing ring muscle ups. I'm not there yet. And now you're referring back over to the coach. That's where they're so genius. This two-way relationship is gold if we can maturely manage it.
100%. But it starts with PTs understanding that you got to get involved in that space.
Totally.
If you want to service that market.
Yep.
The PT that walks in with the khakis and the polo, that I understand they don't do this stuff. I'm not sending my members there.
Dude, and that right there brings up, like, if you look at confidence, because we talk about like the importance of confidence, even if you dive into the literature, like your belief you're going to get better and you actually getting better, those two things run together. Confidence is a triangle, like especially in this conversation. You get it from watching people go through, from coaching, from strategizing, right? You get it from watching people go through it. You get it from you yourself doing the thing, working around some tweaks, developing your own fitness library. But there's a third corner of the confidence, and that is the patient's confidence by watching you do what you're telling them they can do. And this can't be ignored. I used to treat runners for years. I treated 80% runners. The number one reason they came to me, I ran a lot of marathons. I wasn't the best marathoner in the world, but I've ran a lot of them, and I ran them reasonably healthy. There's no shortcutting your patient looking at you doing the thing that you want to do better than you could ever dream of, and them believing you're the right person to get them better. That is the third corner. I mean, it comes from being in the gym all the time, but it also comes from being in the gym all the time and pushing yourself to a level where you arrive, at least in your patient's eyes. And I think that can't be understated.
That is what we mean by be about it. Now, there's a lot of ways you could break that down. The be about it mentality, the reason it's on our merchandise.
Yeah.
But it's a subliminal messaging, right? You can't put it on a resume.
Yeah.
It has to be felt. It has to be seen, right? And the patient knows it and they can see. That's that authenticity piece that says this person really does live and breathe this. It's not just about being fitness forward. It's about being fitness centered. Like it's who you are, man. I don't just say this stuff. I do this stuff. I don't miss my workouts, right? Like rent is due every day. I get in there and I get something done. And some days it's better than others. And like we talk about at the live course about we do our workout Saturday.
Yeah.
And we show the picture Sunday morning.
Yes.
And you're understanding, you're trying to breathe this be about it mentality to them. And I always say, team, it's not about being heroic. People don't need you to be heroic. They just need to see that you're a person like them, being 1% better. You're just trying. You're getting to the gym when you can. You're meal prepping and packing your lunch rather than going out for fast food. You're trying to get your kids active where you can. They just need to see that you are grinding along with them grinding. Dude, no one wants to sit down with the person who's got it all figured out and speaks from a holier than thou approach. That's not what it's about, right? Just show me that you're out there earning.
You're in the shit with me,
like I am. You don't need to have the heaviest deadlift in the gym, but you need to be deadlifting.
Yeah.
Right. And I need to know that you're deadlifting so that when we go out there and you say the deadlift's going to help your back, let me show you how to do one. That you can bend down and pull up deadlift off the ground with confidence.
Totally.
Those things that go unsaid in a session, the be about it, the confidence. The other part that goes unlooked, man, is when you're in the gym earning those calluses on your hands, you're a different person, right? Like you're building a self-confidence about you didn't have before.
No question.
Don't act like that didn't carry over into the clinic that day.
Yeah.
You knock out a workout in the morning, you're bouncing around a little bit in the
clinic,
clinic, right?
Yeah.
You're feeling better about yourself than if you weren't.
Yep.
Anyone that started a fitness program knows this is one of the best parts about a fitness program. The confidence that it breeds from coming along with that. So not only are you a more confident, better version of yourself, the patient can feel that.
Yeah.
Right. And not only that, like you're talking about, I've had a little bit of experience now watching other people tweak their back, or maybe I've tweaked my back. And now we're getting this full triangle approach, like we talk about.
Yep.
Of saying, like, not only do I know, I've lived it, I've earned it, and my confidence comes through to you as the patient. You feel that I'm putting my guard down a little bit. I'm settling in. We're going to be fine. I'm in the right place to get this better.
Yeah.
Be about it. That's the confidence that we're talking about.
Dude, I love that. And we always say, people don't necessarily need more education. They need more inspiration. And you're in a perfect spot. And like you said, you don't have to win the leaderboard every day. But when you're consistently up in that top 25, 30%, the gym doesn't lie. The barbell won't tell a fib for you. You can either pick it up or you can. Yep. And when people see you drop down 300-400 pounds, they know that you did the work to get there. Yep. And that just moves you in a certain way. And it goes from not only do I feel confident you can help me, but being around you and being cared for by you is making me want to help myself. And dude, that's game change. I mean, you're having at this point, we talk about changing, lives, not just changing back pain. When someone looks at you and says, not only do I think you can help me, but you've given me the energy to really help myself, you have now had an effect on a person that is way above and beyond, probably one that coaches are more familiar with than PTs.
Totally. And something I won't forget, like, I don't know what course it was at, and maybe Jordan Berry talked about it at a spine course at some point, but like, I don't know any clinician who's dialed in clinically that's sloppy in their personal life, right?
Totally.
Like, and so these things just breed into the other. You're dialed in your personal life. You're getting your health and fitness squared away. And again, you don't have to be on the cover of Muscle and Fitness.
Totally.
That's not what we're saying. But you're moving the ship in the right direction, and that's carrying over in your clinical plan. That's carrying over into the people that you're servicing. Yeah. They can feel that out of you. The confidence is, it's just exponential. It rolls. It compounds on itself, right?
Yep.
Snowball effect.
Snowball effect, man. Confidence. Yeah, I'm glad we unpacked it on that level, because I hope that I know the podcast reaches a lot of different ears, but like, I hope the physical therapists that hear it, and it doesn't matter if it's CrossFit, the narrative's the same.
Correct.
Get out there and do the thing you're trying to drum up business for. And I love that you guys open that way when you're asked in CMFA, like, in the fitness athlete course, when somebody says, how do I get engaged? How do you do it?
Membership.
You get a membership.
Get a membership. And please don't get a membership and tell them you're a PT on your first day.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Do the work for a bit.
Be coached. Let the coach coach.
Be coached, dude.
You got a lot that you need to learn. And don't guard yourself or put up your ego wall that says, oh, I'm a PT, I know how to do this. Chances are you might not, right?
Yeah.
Chances are,
and that's okay.
There's a lot of meat on the bone here.
Yeah.
Let's just settle in and be coached for a while and see what you soak up, see what you retain through that process of being coached.
Yeah.
Not only are you going to learn if this is a good gym to refer patients to, but you're going to learn what good coaching looks like. You might learn what bad coaching looks like, unfortunately. That's out there.
Yeah.
Right? That's out there. So there's a lot to be learned if you just sit back, strap in, and go along for the ride for a while and see what shakes out.
I love it. Thanks, dude.